How are you?
Hi. Hi there. I'm in such a funky frickin' place here, man. It looks terrible.
Well, actually, it looks beautiful.
All right. Okay. Well, gosh, I mean, I didn't like do my hair or frickin' anything. What is your name? You're Randall?
My name is Randall, yes. You look great.
All right.
Anyways, I
Go for it.
gotta tell you, I'm a big fan of the Pele Report. I watch it every Wednesday. I think it's great. I think the whole planet should be watching that every week. So if I can do anything to help pass your name on to more people, to expose you to more people, I would be honored to do that.
Oh, thanks a lot, Randall. Well, right on, brother.
Cool.
We probably have some of the same values then.
I would imagine we have almost all the same values. Everything you say, all your perspectives are pretty much identical to my own, and that's why I really wanted to have you be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So the first.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So the first question I ask everybody is always the questions are generally the same for everybody, and then the first one I ask is, how would you describe the current state of the planet today, of the world?
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Sure. I would liken the current state of the world today to a mother giving birth. And, this is a time that we have to do some deep breathing and some pushing. It's a real time period. I mean, I don't know how much astrology I should bring into this or not, but it's got maybe its seeds. Maybe mom was fertilized in the mid 60s with the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. And, the last 40 years we've been gestating to give birth to a new paradigm, a new reality, a new sense of identity as not just third dimensional, physical, linear, logical, polarized beings on this planet, but a greater multi-dimensional, intergalactic, our identities as just what it means to be a human being are being transformed, and we're breaking out of the shackles of a religious-dominated, patriarchal conditioning of a limited dogmatic belief systems that have kept us small. So I feel like we're a bunch of chickens that have been in the incubator, and it's time to spread our wings and fly. And very many of us are very scared. Very many of us are feeling very insecure and not ready to fly, not ready to be birthed, not ready to have that umbilical cord cut. And so there's a lot of power struggles, and there's a lot of resistance to this transformation, to this change. And it's creating, I would say, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and of course, a lot of violence. Yeah, can also result from this.
So is it part of our innate natures, or is it actually written? Astrology seems to account for conflict as being a part of our evolutionary process to spur on consciousness. Do you feel that conflict is an integral part of elevating consciousness?
That's a great question. I don't think so. I think that, how do I put it? I think I just talked about it today in the Pele Report. I think science has, determined or now proven there's like 13 dimensions. And so we are multi-dimensional, infinite spiritual beings that incarnate into this physical third dimension, polarized reality. So there's no conflict in the fifth, fourth, 5, 6, 7, as you get into the upper dimensions, as you open your third eye and you get out of duality, there's no conflict, right? So, and this is, where the crown chakra and the sixth chakra, there's no polarization, there's no duality, there's no conflict. But below that, 2 eyes, 2 nose, 2 arms, 2 genitals, whatever, we're double. below that. And so these lower dimensional realms, there is conflict, there is opposition, and it is an integral, like you say, an integral part of life. But like I say, we don't have to be, we don't have to make that real. It depends on how we identify ourselves. If I identify myself as an infinite spiritual being, and I am living in my, spiritual body, then I can witness with non-attachment, with no agenda, with no, fear around gain and loss, win and lose, top and bottom. I can see that what we would call conflict as the dance of light and dark, of masculine and feminine, of that it's a dance. But if I get stuck down here in my ego, and I get stuck down here in this polarized reality, and I think that this is who I am, and this body is what matters, and, I've got to hold on to my money and my property and my shit, then this conflict or this, confrontation becomes, way more intense, and way more, the stakes are risen, and it becomes so much more real, and this is where so much more pain and suffering then is the result.
So would you say that ego is a natural part of ourselves, or is it an outside force? I don't know if you've read Carlos Castaneda, but they seem to, have you read Carlos?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they seem to suggest that there's actually outside forces acting upon us, that it's not our mind that we operate in this world with. There's also a point of view that the ego is just another aspect of our natures that we had to hone over millennia to get to this point. What's astrology's take on that? What's your personal?
Well, yeah. I'll give you my personal. I'm not going to give you the astrology. Not big enough for that yet. One of my favorite movies is Men in Black. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but at one point, it's all about these aliens and stuff, and they chase down this one guy, right? And they open up his head, and here is this little guy at the controls, and he's this little alien guy, and that's the way that I see the ego. I see us as infinite spiritual beings that incarnate into a physical human form or body, and our ego is like the manager of the physical body. It is to keep us alive so that we can have a third dimensional experience. So it is about food, clothing, shelter, security, and safety of this physical body so that my spirit can be here.
Right.
So it's like the manager of Walmart, okay? It's not the owner, it's not the stockholders, it's not the board of directors, it's a frickin' manager. And the challenges come when we don't get out of it, or see beyond it, or confuse it as being all there is, or all that we are, or the one that is actually in charge.
When I was a young person, younger, my brother introduced me to astrology and to a book by Liz Green called Saturn: A New Look at an Old Devil. I don't know if you're aware of that book, but that book was kind of a paradigm shift for me in understanding pain and the usefulness or what it represented in my personal life. How do you say there's a paradigm shift, and it seems like amongst a certain select group of people they're conscious of that concept or reality, but it's not over 51% of the planet. Does 51% of the planet need to understand this, or is consciousness is just a critical mass of energy to create this shift, or is it something that's happening anyways?
I don't think it's a matter of 51%. Even looking at the Bible or whatever, 144,000. I actually sat at the foot of one guru, and there was a room full of people, less than 100 people. And she said if everybody in this room was enlightened, it would change the whole planet. So it is. I think it's a matter of, oh man, how can I use a metaphor? It's like a 25-year-old compared to a 1-year-old can do exponentially more. Yeah. So it's like as the consciousness expands, it is able and capable of impacting, influencing, affecting greater and greater and greater realms. Even if you look at all the ascended masters or Jesus or Buddha or Mohammed it's like when you open up to the fullness of your total being, this is also power. And that power to influence and affect the overall. So I go much more so with the 100th monkey, that it doesn't have to be half of the population of Earth, that it can be, yes, a group of initiates that really just all of a sudden tilts that scale, and there is a, flip.
So the fact that the world seems to be faced with all sorts of external crises, loss of species, drinking water, climate change, is that just a reflection of the paradigm shift, or is that actually going to cause the shift? Is that going to wake people up, or is that just a reflection of the change that's happening, or is it all the same thing?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one. I mean, it's probably not either or. It's probably both and more. That's my usual, some of these things. I mean, I see that where we are now as a planet and as a species is certainly the result of 6,500 years of male-dominated, exclusive, I, me, my, narcissistic, self-oriented, socio-cultural, religious conditioning. And, whether that leads us or destroys us, into, there is a new future paradigm happening, but I don't necessarily say there's any guarantees. I don't, I think anything can go any which way, at any time. Yeah, we could blow up this whole frickin' planet. It's been done before. We wasted Lemuria, we wasted Atlantis, and we can waste this again. There's no I don't think there's some God out there attached, to us evolving. I think this whole thing is an experiment with free will. If you look at it, whether you're an angel or a dog, you have no choice but to be an angel or a dog. They just do things, and express their nature. There's no free will there. So I see our planet as this huge experiment that, yes, we are allowed to deviate. We are allowed to screw up, mess up, destroy, annihilate, demolish ourselves as many times as we want. This is the whole Luciferic, fall, that happened here is that, So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
It was an answer for sure. So do you think there is a purpose? There is no singular purpose for our being in regards to the universe. Some people would suggest that we are the universe itself, becoming conscious of itself. Would you agree with something like that?
Yeah, I think that the universe is source, and it is expanding. We are on an out breath, and basically it is source wanting to observe itself, diversify, and expand into heretofore unknown expressions of itself. So it's just like, a rose, that's blooming or blossoming for the first time and doesn't even know what it's going to look like when it has blossomed. So, Yeah, I kind of just see this whole experience, as each one of us being a co-creator. And as we expand our consciousness, God, Goddess, Source is expanding its consciousness of itself. As we become more self-aware, Spirit is becoming more aware of its diverse nature. And right now, we're probably seeing, just how destructive and torturous and asinine we can be as a creator.
Well, you kind of touched on free will earlier, and astrology it definitely it insinuates that there is it's already been written. The story has already been written to some extent. Would you say that astrology suggests that?
Yeah.
So do we have free will, or is it a fine dance between free will and acquiescence, or is free will something that has to be accumulated?
My rule of thumb is probably like 20%, 80%. I think from our past lives, just as like when we get old, a lot of our old age is the result of choices and decisions that we made as a teenager and in our 20s and 30s. Well, this lifetime I see as, being a lot of the result of choices and decisions and actions that we took in our previous lifetimes and previous incarnations. So we do come in with the blueprint. You come in with your astrology chart is like this blueprint that I look at as, your soul blueprint that says, you know what, I got these parents, I got these brothers and sisters, I got this male or female body. I want, I want to be born in this color skin or whatever. And that's like the 20%. That's like the skeletal structure of I've made these contracts and I want to definitely do this. And within that skeletal structure, I think we have 80%, to just like, resist it, flow with it, move or define or, change or destroy or whatever. I mean, people get sex changes. We can change. We're changing the DNA now. I mean, it's like the more we advance as a species, I would say that 80% actually does increase as you mentioned.
So, how do you foresee, or maybe you don't look at it this way, but how do you think change will happen in the world? Is it an underlying current that we all just are riding, or is there an actual, do people have to become consciously projecting their future, a new future?
I love you. You're awesome, dude. I guess this is being recorded. I'll give you, my take on that is just that we're not as big as we think. We're not as important as we think. Just like we used to think that we were the center of the universe. And then we found out that the sun is the center of the solar system. And now we're just a little solar system, not even in the center of the galaxy. I mean, we're getting smaller and smaller every minute. And we are part of what I see as Gaia's evolution. Yeah, I see that that there is planetary consciousness, and she has her own evolutionary path, and we are all part of that path. And as much as we perhaps align ourselves, become aware of, support, and merge our self with her intentions, the better off we are.
So obviously you have a great love of the planet. You help you have you do work with dolphins, right? You work with protecting dolphins. When you see the destruction of the planet, I mean, how do you maintain your equilibrium? How do you not fall into despair?
Well, I do Kundalini yoga. I really meditate and do my yoga daily, and I really step outside of this time, space, continuum, and also understand, of course, that the biggest thing is, expanding my heart and coming into a place of compassion and love involves, forgiveness. And then I can also get into this whole other, realm that the outside is a mirror of the inside. And, when I see all of this destruction going on, and all of this pollution and, all of this sense, I always turn it back on myself that as it actually encourages me to do more processing and do more of my inner work and do more of my Pele reports and education. I think it's all education. I think this is a huge playground that we are on where, we are screwing it up and messing it up. And, it's just, it's all right. A lot of my thing is getting over judgment and loving, some of the people that I could say are idiots, and just, going, what, who am I and what is this? And, that they're a part of me in Lakesh. I am another you. And, we are both, I think, we're all ascended masters and we're all, dumb morons at the same time. And it's not about, getting into judgmental spaces and blaming and pointing fingers as much as it is, totally coming into self-love and self-forgiveness, which allows for tolerance and acceptance and forgiveness and compassion for, the pain and the suffering that people are going through. And you have to understand, if anybody is perpetrating pain and suffering, they are in pain and they are suffering themselves. And it's just a matter of, I don't know. I mean, it's like, loving compassion for the pain and suffering that people are going through, that they, get angry and put other people through it. I don't know. It's a chaotic maelstrom down here.
So when you're in that little moment of conflict where you're feeling that little, that moment of wanting to fly off the handle, what do you personally do to get back to a sense of equilibrium?
Oh, I try to fly off the handle. I mean, it's like, part of my thing is trying not to suppress and repress, because that, distorts and perverts and creates anger in the first place. So, I try to yell and scream and kick and one of my main things is feel your feelings. And I try to, really honor its somatic wisdom. It's like my body is getting triggered, my heart is beating faster, or I'm sweating, or I'm pissed off about something. And, I want to get the most out of it. I want to feel it, the biggest and the greatest. And it's like, just let it out, man.
Well, that's kind of the paradox, isn't it, about this whole thing? Because you say I and self a lot, like we all do, and yet in some ways we have to embrace it and immerse ourselves in ourselves, and only to transcend it to some degree, right? It's an odd paradox, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and even in a lot of my, I do chart readings every day, and I counsel people, and it's like for a lot of people, it's like it's good to role play. Get yourself some handcuffs and some maid outfits and some uniforms and stuff, and put this on and put that on and take that off and put that, and let your partner do the same, and get over the reality of this. I like it that, I have a body, I'm not my body. I have emotions, I'm not my emotions. I have thoughts, I'm not my thoughts. It's like, have them. And then you can let go of them and not make them real and not make them your identity and not, get brought down by them.
So this is the question I ask everybody as well: is how do you identify yourself? I know it's an odd question, and I hope you know what I mean. But how do you identify your being?
I don't know, probably some kind of a nutcase.
Have you always been the person that you are today?
Oh God! No, I have not always been the person that I am today. That's for sure.
Was there a moment?
And I probably won't be the same person tomorrow either.
But were you always pretty self-aware, or was there something that pushed you into that mode?
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely Kundalini yoga that pushed me into that mode.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had a certain awakening.
But something must have pushed you into Kundalini yoga.
Yeah, it was my girlfriend. Yeah, the women, Oh my God, that's another interview. No, but how do I identify myself? I just I'd say a human being, but then that begs the question, what is a human being?
Right.
And I suppose I see myself as a co-creator, like a ray of sunlight with source as being the sun, and I am one individualized expression of a greater infinite body, so I am unique in the sense that, yes, I am this particular ray of light, and I am no different than any other ray of light because we are all rays of light. So I can live with this paradox that I am special and I'm not, that I'm an individual and I'm not. And I think the more that I try to practice living with paradox, living with, contradictions, I think opens up a whole lot of space where it.
It allows for a dimensional experience, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So what compels you to do what you do? Is it play, or is it do you feel the drive that you're part of an energetic imperative? Because I have to say, for myself, I feel both. I feel play. This is play for me. I get to talk to cool people and interact with brilliant energies, but I also feel compelled to be a part, to be working towards something here. I don't know if that's do you feel that, or what's your experience?
Yeah, it's like I say, some of it depends on the moment, on where the moon is, on what I ate for breakfast. But I do very often come back to what I consider to be my prime directive. I do feel that I have, that I incarnated with a prime directive. And this gets back to identity, I suppose. I was kind of brought to this term, a world servant. That after I did some ayahuasca, and I was on this journeying, and it was Mother Giambati that really kind of brought it home to me that there are just certain soul beings that have incarnated as world servants, and I That, of course, could be broken down or defined, in better ways. But I have a passion for astrology, for channeling or speaking or sharing or however people want to see it, and that passion is that just gets me like totally fired up and excited, and I always feel like astrology is just like so freaking awesome, man. And looking at the night sky is like looking at the face of Creator. It's the divine symphony. It's this dance of life that is so miraculous, and it puts me in such a humble state of gratitude that I just want to spread that feeling, of this is freaking amazing down here. Life is amazing. I don't know.
Well, it comes through in all of your Pele reports, and I just discovered the Pele report about 4 weeks ago during a very intense times, and actually, you know what, you were the perfect thing to hear it. It just relieved a whole bunch of pressure. I was into astrology very young, and I kind of left it to go into other things. But by discovering you again, it brought me back to my understanding of myself that I learned through astrology to a large degree, and it just relieved a whole bunch of pressure. Because you perfectly explained what was going on between me and my partner, and it just changed everything for us. And I have to say that it was awesome discovering you. You were like, I know that gravity. We all have our gravity, and I'm so happy that my gravity brought your knowledge of you into my life. So I just want to thank you for that. And I also
thank you for creating me.
One thing I always ask everybody also is if you had a chance to give a public service message to the planet, to every human being on Earth, what would you say? What would you say to people?
Oh, well, I think the main thing is love yourself. Unconditional self-love implies, yes, this sense of forgiveness and this sense of unity, and it will be mirrored. You can't really love anybody else until you love yourself. It's all these mirrors going around, and really, as we come into accepting, all of our foibles and all of our idiosyncrasies and all of our bizarre, kinky, eccentric realities, it's all, we will find beauty in each other, in ourselves, in the whole menagerie of creation, and so many, everything will just, the wars and the violence and the control and the fear will just dissipate. It will just dissolve away as people come into a state of self-acceptance. That's
Awesome. Thank you. There's one other aspect of this project. I've been asking everybody to sing a line from a particular song that the project sort of is affiliated with. Would you be interested in singing 2 lines from the song that I would put a composite video with you singing next to maybe Dr. Asmit Goswami and all these other people? Just like I would get 2 lines from you, but I would only use half of 1 line. So you'd be part of a composite video with all these people singing this song. Would you be interested in doing that?
Yeah, sure. I'm open. I'm game for whatever.
Awesome. So I'm going to introduce you to my lovely partner here, Fabiana. She is a vocal teacher and a singer, an opera singer and a classical singer, and she's going to guide you through this. Is that okay? Awesome. Here we go.
Yeah, sure, man.
Hi.
Oh,
Fabiana.
It's nice to meet you finally.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
You too.
What's your name again?
Fabi.
Fabi.
Yeah.
Okay, Fabi.
Yeah. So these are the words. So I'll just do the first 2 lines. And then you can repeat after me. You can come out and see it now.
You can come out and see it now.
Where the earth is gonna float you to.
where the earth is going to float you to.
Awesome.
Is that good?
Awesome. That was great.
That's
Thank you.
cool.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
It was a real pleasure to listen
Yeah,
to you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Wonderful to meet you guys.
Too.
Thank you.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
to meet you.
Where in Canada are you?
Vancouver.
Oh, Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Oh, I've got family in Vancouver.
Do you?
Oh, awesome. Have you been
I
up?
love it up there.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, my sister lives in Nanaimo.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, Duncan.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
yeah. Yeah.
So I come up and visit her, and she's got kids in Vancouver. So
Awesome.
maybe someday our paths will cross physically.
Where are you in Costa Rica?
Right now, I'm in San Jose.
Oh, okay.
Actually, we're heading down there in January for 2 weeks.
We're going to
check
be
it
there
out.
in January. We
Right there.
rented a little house on a beach, and we're going to spend 10 days down there.
Where's that?
Near Puerto Viejo. It's
That's
called...
one of my favorite places
Oh,
in the
cool.
whole world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Bye-bye.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.